as she now lost the affections of her father. To make matters worse, she was no longer permitted to see her mother either. It was also around this time when Mary experienced another painful flare-up from her endometriosis condition. Without a doubt, this was a very lonely and depressing time for Mary, a time that would only serve to spark and fuel her resentment in later years to come, as she'd someday want to retaliate for all the painful suffering she'd been forced to endure. While all of these changes were taking place, the popular but hushed belief was that the king was making a mistake, that he was being bewitched by Anne Boleyn, and that he was turning his back on God by ridding the country of the Catholic faith. Many people asserted that Mary still had the rightful claim to the throne, even though she'd been stripped of her title as princess. The people had adored her mother Catherine as their queen, but they hated Anne for being, in essence, a homewrecker. For this reason, Anne was perceived as being the great whore, and Mary was thought to be a heroic symbol of rebellion among the English people. Not surprisingly, Mary's refusal to acknowledge the annulment of her mother's marriage and recognize Anne as queen and relinquish her own positions as princess greatly angered her father. During this time, Mary was in a very precarious situation. Her very existence was called into question, with whispers of possible allegations of treason to be tried against her. The year of 1536 provided two major life events, turning points in her future direction. First, Mary's mother died, which struck her with further painful grief. She was depressed beyond consolation and no longer believed there was a life for her in
Bloody
England.
Mary, Mary one of England. What do you think about it?
But then something else changed, and Boleyn was ordered by Henry to be executed for allegations presumably staged against her. Mary was extremely pleased with Anne's death. She had absolutely despised her for destroying her life, but also gave Mary a new sense of hope for her future.
Why can't you
Perhaps
shut
her
up?
father had changed his mind. At once, Mary wrote to him, hoping to be welcomed back to court and back in his good graces. But in return, Henry wrote that he was still displeased by Mary's stubbornness and still wanted her to submit to his law. Despite Anne Boleyn now being out of the picture, Henry continued to push that his daughter Mary recognize herself as illegitimate and her mother's marriage to him as having been unlawful.
Nobody
He forced
can
her to
see
sign
us.
a legal declaration of
They
this.
can see
Mary
me.
was fully aware
They
that
can
she could be
see
put to
you.
death if she
And they
didn't
can
sign
see
it.
me.
After all, if Henry was capable of killing his wife, he could certainly kill his daughter. For the Tudors, family drama could be deadly. And it wasn't just Mary's life at stake, but the lives of her most prominent supporters as well. Thus, Mary reluctantly signed the dreaded document against her conscience. As a reward, she was welcomed back to court, earned back her father's love, and was reinstated back into the line of succession. This brought her
That's
a
not
decade
how you
of
snap.
peace. You'd think it would have
Do
provided
this
Mary with some form of a
and
happy
that.
ending in this case, but
Nathan,
you'd be wrong.
that's not
The
how you
reality
snap.
was that
You're
Mary would
snapping with
always live with a
3
sense of guilt
fingers.
and regret for acting
Alright.
against her beliefs, the
Okay.
beliefs of God,
So,
and the beliefs
your
of her now
finger
deceased
here,
mother, all to save her own skin
and
and those of her friends and
follow
supporters.
as I
Yet,
do.
who can blame her? In many
No!
ways, though, she was her own harshest
One
critic. Despite
finger!
being back in good standing with
Now
her
do
father,
this.
however, Mary still didn't marry during this time. This may be because, as we all famously
One
know,
finger is
Henry
hard.
VIII was too busy collecting
One
and discarding
finger
his own
isn't
wives.
hard.
Clearly, marrying off his first daughter wasn't much of a priority for him, so Mary
Mason,
remained
you'll
single
never
for a
learn
long
how to
time.
snap.
Mary had also gained a brother, the son
So,
and heir that her father had desperately
this is how you
wanted,
snap.
Edward VI. Mary was about 31 when her father died, and the young 9-year-old Edward took over as the first in line to the throne. Mary was second in the line of succession, followed by her younger sister Elizabeth, as ordered by Henry prior to his passing. But Edward, though very young, was a hardcore Protestant, thanks to the influence that his advisors had over him. Thus, Mary once again fell into a threatening position due to her strong Catholic beliefs. This time, it was at the hands of her little brother, not her tyrannical father. Mary once again probably found herself in a familiar dark place, thinking there was no future and that her beloved Catholic faith would not survive this doomed world. Years of stress and the constant monthly pain she endured from her endometriosis took its toll on her, and she became a very weakened-looking and bitter woman. Thankfully for her, Edward's reign didn't last long because he became ill and died at the young age of 15. Not wanting his Catholic sister Mary to take over the throne, Edward had requested upon his dying breath that this Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey, succeed him. She would rule as queen for only 9 days before Mary's supporters rose up to help her take her rightful place on the throne. At the age of 37, Mary's reign as queen finally began. Mary entered London in a triumphant procession in 1553. The people of England wept tears of joy, elated that their beloved daughter of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon was finally taking her place on the throne. Little did the people know what was in store for them. They didn't seem to realize the extent of Mary's anger and contempt. She was a queen fueled by resentment and passionate religious obsession. She was determined to restore the Catholic faith and take revenge against those who had made her last 25 years so miserable, namely Protestants. She she quickly became an unpopular queen with the initiation of her mass executions and burnings. To tie England with Catholicism even further, she finally got married to Philip II of Spain from her mother's native Catholic country. This, however, did not provide her with the happy life she so long desired. Though she adored her husband and was smitten with him, there is no record about how he felt about her in return, but we can speculate with a certain level of ease that he didn't feel the same way. One indicator of this has to do with rumors that were circling about Philip having affairs with other women. Another clue has to do with what Philip's closest confidant said to him when he praised him on his ability to deal with a woman with whom he could expect neither physical pleasure nor satisfaction. The now 38-year-old Mary was not exactly perceived as attractive, far from it actually, as the charms of her face had faded from years of intense mental pain and suffering. One Spaniard reportedly remarked, "The queen is not pretty, not at all, is low, fragile structures instead of fat, with very white hair and blonde, has no eyebrows, is holy, she dresses very badly." She was also getting older, and her childbearing years were quickly slipping away. Though it's a harsh sentiment, Philip very likely only married Mary for political gain, not for love. This is made all the more sad when you consider that she had also gone through a period of feeling unloved by her father. It seemed she couldn't catch a break. Life had not been good to her, and her misfortunes would only continue. Soon after her marriage, it seemed though her luck had changed when she stopped menstruating, felt nauseated in the mornings, and gained weight. Her royal physician suspected she could be pregnant. People rejoiced, bells rang, and there were celebrations held on the streets. Though she grew a belly, however, there was no baby. It is possible that she had a tumor, though many assert she was experiencing a phantom pregnancy, a conditional phenomenon thought to occur when a woman wants a child badly enough and winds up deluding herself into believing she's pregnant, while then displaying the classic bodily symptoms of pregnancy. At the time, there was no way to distinguish a false pregnancy from a real one, so the only way to find out for sure was to simply wait until the baby was born. A birth chamber had been prepared for her, and a nursery contained a beautifully carved cradle. Many women were hired on standby to help care for the baby once it arrived. Letters announcing the birth had also been written and were ready to be sent. Time passed, but there still was no baby. In denial, Mary continued to insist that she could feel the child move in her womb. Rumors and speculations were quickly spreading as more time passed. Maybe Mary had lied about being pregnant to give people hope for an heir. Maybe instead of a baby, Mary was carrying a monkey. Eventually, she had to come to terms with the fact that she was not really pregnant. After going through 2 false pregnancies, Mary faced the cold, hard reality that she would not have an heir. Her childbearing years were over. She was enraged with the idea that Elizabeth would succeed the throne after her. She hated Elizabeth as the daughter of Anne Boleyn, the woman who started all the misery in Mary's life. She was also incredibly jealous of Elizabeth because she possessed the 2 main qualities that Mary did not. That is, Elizabeth was both young and beautiful. After a short, disastrous reign, Mary died in 1558, most likely from ovarian cancer derived from her untreated endometriosis. Her vision for a Catholic England crumbled, and Elizabeth took the throne. Mary's husband Philip, whom she loved so wholeheartedly, wrote that he felt only a moderate grief for her. Mary was beguiled even after death because she was not buried next to her mother, as per her request. Instead, she ended up being buried next to Elizabeth. To make matters worse, the gravesite of Mary and her hated sister is a monument to Elizabeth, which completely overshadows her. Mary is commemorated only by a slab of black marble with the infamous name Bloody Mary on it. In this way, it seems that Mary has pretty much gone down as one of history's biggest losers. She had a terribly difficult life, fraught with grief, pain, and misery. On top of everything, she never got her way in the end. Even in death, she failed in comparison to her sister, and her jealousy may very well extend into the afterlife. Now, after hearing the full story, we turn to you for your opinion. Was Mary an infamous mnemonic device to remember the fate of all 6 of King Henry VIII's wives goes as follows. Divorce.
All right. Kids, so that's it for today.